My December daily for December 2021 into January 2022 was done in one of these regular sized Simple Stories burlap books. If you watch the other videos, I used a red one for 1 year. Having a difficult time December 2021, and so I think this matched my mood, but also was something that I wanted to use up from my stash. I also used a chevron vellum page in here, vellum on vellum, with this die cut that was from an Ellie Edwards December daily kit that I had gotten. As she says, tell it like it is, right? So this was the difficult December, stitched it together. That was my opening page. The journaling here was a sheet from one of my Simple Stories albums that was left over. Journaled, documented, December and why it was difficult, and, expectations. I had put high expectations on myself and the season, and then was disappointed and self-imposed, and so that was my journaling. This year I did include October, so it was kind of a miserable October, and we were just about to go to Disney World with some friends, and so I wanted the Christmas tree up before we left so that when we came back, Christmas was ready. And so, in going outside, this photo made me laugh because here's Pirate Mickey inside so that he didn't blow away. But there's the Christmas tree that I had been working and decorating on while handing out candy. And so, that just made me giggle. And then the journaling here, typed up in Word, printed out. I stamped October, added some washi, added some stamped and watercolored images. On the other side, November. So different color scheme, and journaling about, going to Disney World and coming back, having jury duty. It was a chaotic month. And so, again, printed this on paper, added a washi strip, did some stamping. Then I had sheets here for our trip and just random photos of key things on our trip. In one of the other videos I talked about, shaker. Do not use fine glitter in the shaker. It looks muddy and disgusting. I can redo this, but I just have left it. So don't make that mistake. It looks terrible. So, some photos from Disney. And then I knew I was finishing off November with a big picture of the castle. This is a die cut that I got, and then loving this, and then I stitched that to make sure that it stayed in place, but also just I like that look of that stitch. Love machine stitching. Usually I have, finishing things on the left-hand side, so I have my divider. You'll see that in the other videos here. Just the month name was my divider. I didn't do a specific divider between each. And so as we flip the page to December, again, leftover from one of the other albums, I stamped some words on the back that kind of tied in with Christmas. But here is my December. We're starting December. The first, instead of a reason why page, I did, took a digital file, A Thrill of Hope, The Weary World Rejoices, put it on the photo, highlighted it with an acetate, deliberately spaced it that way. Just my hopes for the season. We had a busy fall and a really busy November between jury duty and, going to Disney World. And so just what are my hopes and dreams for the season? The second is Grinch Day. So, had a Grinch gift tag here. Did a die cut with blue because we had the lights on the house. So we do that every year with the Grinch. And then the third, again, a digital file, real life. You can do this. So a little, words of encouragement to myself. We were doing some massive changes at work. Took a picture of my work setup and my desk working from home, put a phone number on there, did journaling, lots of words, and so did it on the computer so that I could get it small enough. I'm also using different sizes of numbers, you'll see. So some years I do this, where it's just chaotic numbers, whatever fits. Other years I have specific fonts and number sets that I use. Number 4 was on a tag, so sending my Christmas letters. Put a big photo over what was a grid behind, had stamped some stuff as well. And then 5, used a big tag here. Something silly in this season. We were watching wrestling and old school wrestling from when we were growing up, and Macho Man was wearing this red and white outfit that made him look like a peppermint. And I made the joke that, oh, that'll be my Christmas outfit for the year. For those of you who know me, I wear black pretty much 99.9% of the time. So for me to wear a peppermint outfit, silly and funny, and I had this peppermint stamp that kind of tied everything together, so that was fun. I like flip outs, setting them up, leaving space for washi and banners. 3 things that happened at work. Here's the outside of the building, did it black and white, just to kind of match everything, put a star, and then put this token of appreciation I had received because I wanted this story to be about Yardy and work stuff. And so flip the page. Great spot for a big photo. Love, love, love Pikes Peak. Obsessed with this. This is actually coming down the hill from Simple Stories. And so I tend to take a lot of shots. That way, go really slowly around that corner and just have my phone set up on the clip and taking sporadic bursts, and then I pick which one I like. So wooden piece here, little foam number in there. Here, this was a digital, and then I cut it out after I printed it. And I wanted this to be kind of like a peek page because I was talking about the trees here. Used this great Vicky Bouton tree, die cut, a stamped 8 that I then fussy cut. And then you flip over, and there's the story. And then here are the 4 trees that I set up. Our one in the bedroom that has a variety of different childhood ornaments and travel ornaments, our Disney one in the living room, the nerdy one in the man cave, and then my British themed one that's in my office / scrapbooking room. Added just little stamped circles with some different colored inks to go in there of what trees are what. On the other side, again, I like doing lists, 1, 2, 3, 4, which tie in with 1, 2, 3, 4. These were different holiday parties, some that I was able to attend with my team and other teams, the team that I was leaving from and the team I was going to, and then one I missed because I was sick. So put that journaling in here on this little banner. Stamps, embossing, it all ties together. On the back side, day 10, cut strips of different wrapping paper I was using that year. I love doing wrapping paper. It's so much fun to see what we were using. I was using I'm the Wrapper. I love wrapping gifts. And so some of these wrapping papers I don't have anymore. So it's kind of fun to have a little piece of it. And I always use scraps that that I have left over. So good fun to do this and then put a piece of washi at the top. I don't always do, day by day. Like this was 4 different days, but it was one story on the 9th. And so, in some of my other videos, I'm documenting exactly what happens that day. And other stories are more general conglomerates of what happened in that month. And, I put the different dates. One of them was actually in January. Do I care? No. But that's the overall story, is December moments with the different teams. Same thing with here. So in the Christmas sales from the year before, I had purchased these wreaths, and so I was making an R2-D2 wreath for Tom because that's his favorite Star Wars character. I was doing ones for our bedroom, and then I was also working on this album. And so there's the November pages that you saw earlier. I had this card. I thought it was really cool that her chair had nothing on it. So I put a star and the 11, and it's a flip up of what I was working on with these projects, as well as another photo here doing some stamping. It's really helpful if you have someone who can take photos while you're doing things. So here Tom was standing, over me and snapping some photos for me. Other times I had my phone strapped to my head with a belt so I could get pictures of me making the wreaths. So you do what you have to do in the season, but that's always kind of fun to pull together a variety of different stories with the same theme all in one layout. Another one is sometimes you just have words. So, we were in Disney World. I had jury duty. We picked up a cold in Disney World, and between Disney World and the jury duty, picked up a cold. And so I had always joked years ago that I always wanted a day of rest in bed like John and Yoko. And so the 12th was a day of rest. And so these are in the pocket. I have the 12 there, but this one flips up, and it has the journaling, and it has John and Yoko. Did I stay in bed that day for a political reason or to make a statement or to get any media attention? No. I just simply wanted a John and Yoko day. And so that's what we had. And so that is day 12. Fun, easy. Day 13, no words. We got a Costco pizza, and I printed it out, cut it in a circle, put the number 13 in a frame, and that is the day. Okay. Used a strip of paper so that I had like a little spine to put the holes in, but that is it. Sometimes it can just be an easy, simple day. This took no time to pull together other than stamping and fussy cutting the letters. This was stamping, cutting, stamping, fussy cutting, concocting the flip up. So some days are going to take more time than others, and that's okay. These albums too, I built them around the days and the stories. So I didn't make any pre-made foundation pages. There was no expectations. I kind of created things as I was going along and made notes for each day as I was living life. And sometimes I changed things around, depending on what I wanted to do. So here, I ended up in the emergency, or went to a clinic because I wasn't feeling good. And so it actually ended up that some cellulitis that I had had before, I didn't know you could get it again. I ended up getting cellulitis because of a cut on my foot that I acquired at Disney, and then made worse by jury duty and everything else going on. And so, yeah, that's the story. That was what it is. And this was my wristband from the medical. 15th, we had a crazy windstorm, and one of our trees fell over and took out the back fence between us and the neighbor. That is the story of the day. And I used a bunch of tree items. Deliberately, when I printed the photo, did a 3x4 on the photo so that I could put the card there. Good with the bad. And so that's the story of a bad story of the tree. The 16th is our anniversary, and so I have this pre-printed card. I added some stamped and fussy cut numbers and poinsettias. Again, this was one, I think it was a Valentine set, but put poinsettias in our hand and around. There's my journaling, and that was it. Because of the tree and because of my leg, we did not do much. And so that was it. And that's okay. I documented it. We did something later. 17th, this was a pre-cut edition for the album. It came in the album, or one of the other Simple Stories albums, I should say. And so used it here, added a photo, did a little bit of journaling. Yeah, this was something in a fortune cookies, so took a photo of that on our plaid bedding and added it there. I love doing lists, and so here's where you were supposed to do like a checklist. I didn't do that. I added some things in to kind of cover up some of that. Little stars in the 8 there. Just journaling the day. December story. The 19th, I was documenting all of the music of the season. And so I did something unique here. I used a strip of paper, and I did a 5x7 with each of the albums. Then what I did is I backed it with paper, and I had used an X-Acto knife and a ruler to make all of these flip ups. Now, LE Studio has since designed a die that is 4x6 that does this. But here I didn't have that yet, and I thought I was being clever. They don't flip up all the way. I haven't bent them because I want them to lay flat. This one does not flip up because it has the date in the wreath, but if you flip up these, it has words about some of these albums. So that's kind of fun. I like interactive things in albums. They're kind of fun that way. Oh, this does flip up. Oops, I was wrong. When you lay them down, they kind of catch. Big photo one side, big photo on the other, except this one, again, trying to do something unique and different. The different wreaths that I made, I took a snapshot of them and played around with them in Photoshop so that when combined, they would make one big wreath. Okay, and then I used a Martha Stewart punch to kind of have some branches. And then you get a snapshot. I did 2 wreaths that are the same. One for Tom's side of the bed, one for my side of the bed. So one I just did the berries, and one I did with the flowers. Love poinsettias, so lots of that in wreaths. And then, of course, R2. Deliberately put that picture there, knowing that I would put the 20 there and this big strip there. Documenting movies, documenting music, documenting TV. Here is a page that was pre-printed. It had all these circles, and in a lot of them it had little images. You can kind of see, like that. I think this was a cardinal in behind. Didn't want that. Kept the cheers, kept this one with the stripes, kept the merry and bright, and those were my visual triangle. But everywhere else, I printed out images from different shows I was watching at the time, and then punched them and stuck them in. And it's kind of fun because some of these ones, like this, I think was an Australian show, and it had like, I don't know, 4 series, and then I was done, like, because there was no more show. You know, some of them are older, some of them are still going, right? And so, you know, kind of fun to see what was big at the time, or what you were watching at the time. Some shows are just ending now. Some shows have been on for 60 some years, right? So it's kind of fun to do that, but using a pre-printed page, changing it to make it my own. And then using the backside, again, I didn't like what was on the backside of that, or maybe it was just a plain printed plaid gingham page. And so I love doing around here pages. You'll see that in other albums. Again, printed this out. Around here, we are doing with this. Around here, we are doing this. Around here, around here, around here. So it's kind of a prompt around here. And actually, that was stamped. This was all typed, but I stamped that as I put the washi and space for the numbers. And then here's some pictures of stuff around here. So here was a hair. It's hard to see. You know, there's our fireplace, bundled up, presents, twinkle lights. So here's some little stamps that I had that I added. Some peek throughs, a foam heart here, and then just some more stuff around the house to kind of go with the 22 with the peek throughs. Just random stuff around the house, which is kind of fun because the house has totally changed. We've changed some decor, we've changed the layouts, you know, dealing with my cellulitis, all that good stuff. So very different December when you're sick, and you know, coming back from holidays. I don't think I would ever do a big holiday in November again because it totally threw off everything for December. You know, we both we got colds. I had jury duty on my leg. It was rough. So you know, a difficult December. 23rd is Festivus. So I did this little Festivus and a little flip up. It was the last work day. On the last work day, I always wear my Santa hat. I was in bed working on my laptop because my leg needed to be elevated, which is super uncomfortable and annoying, but I had my team's chat with my team in my Santa hat in bed. So, you know, it is what it is. This is printed. I added the little flap with paper and then put the little journaling circle. So that was the 23rd, and that was it. The 24th, we were going to go and do lights like we normally do. I have this stamp set from Christmas Vacation. If you ever want to use this, I will bring it and you can use it. Let me know and I'll bring it to a crop. So, I took a picture. We were going to go out. He had hurt his back. My leg was sore. We decided that we would wait till a little bit later. And then this was before we had a huge dump of snow and it was super icy. And then we decided not to go. And so, it's Christmas and we're all in misery. We were sick. His back was sore. My leg was bad. It was just a bad Christmas Eve. Very rare. I love Christmas Eve, but the Bath Humbug worked here and I loved the stamp set. It just all came together, and life is what it is. And so it makes me laugh now. I was very, very upset and disappointed. And in the moment everything seems tragic. Looking back, rather funny. It is what it is. And then the 25th, Christmas Day, I've always watched The Queen. And so she made my book this year. She doesn't always make my book. I think she made my book this year because the year prior, my brother and I were actually in London for Christmas, and I got to see it live. But, she's getting on in years at this point, and we had her for a little longer. But, Christmas Eve watching that, having a fun meal. Not a traditional meal, but a fun one. Was able to kind of sit on a stool and make dinner still. So I'm very thankful for that. So that was the 25th. No pictures of presents, no pictures of us. That was the big story of the day. Sitting and watching that and watching the Queen. The 26th new season, or the Christmas special for Death in Paradise, came out. I absolutely love BritBox. I love British things. That was the story of the day. The 27th, I had planned to be off because my brother was supposed to be coming for Christmas and he was unable to come because of work. And so that also contributed to the disappointment. Although it kind of worked out that he didn't come because we were both sick. We didn't want him to get sick. And plus my leg was bad. I could barely walk. And so instead of taking the day off, I just went back to work. And I'm like, hey, I'm back at work. I'm not taking a vacation day. This was actually from the Funko box. Tom has this with his TV in his man cave. I was planning on being in Denver that day with family. Instead, I was dealing with issues and working. I don't know why I put him there, but I put him there because he fit and he was funny, and it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Tanya of that year thought that was funny. The 28th, I did a little bit of dimension there. That's pop dotted. These were all movies that I had watched that year. So 25 stories, 25 stories I watched, 25 movies. And if I remember correctly, there are a couple of spelling errors on this, and I don't think I ever went back and changed it. It is what it is. Oh, the Nutcreaker instead of the Nutcracker. And it's funny that, again, type A, like, nobody would probably even notice it, but I know it's there. It bugs me. I should just redo it, but whatever. Here's one of these great pockets. This year, this is the year I started putting all the holiday cards in here. So I have a little tag. This was the 29th, my story for the 29th. There is our Christmas card. So I saved the front of their cards. This was the card that I made and sent out from myself and Tom, and with the Death Star, using a photo from Disney World. And then I made this card for my team when I sent out their gift cards. I made this card for one set of team, or for team leads, my fellow team leads. And then I made this card for another team, and then I made this card for some neighbors where I dropped off some goodies. So, you know, lots of different cards that I made that year. They're all documented on my sheet, although I remember what cards I made for what, and then cards that people sent. So this was the year that Aunt Linda started doing watercolors, and she does prints and sends us this as the card. Cards from my team, you know, family who sent photo cards, a lot of people who, you know, sent us photos and things. So they're all in here, and it's very thick because some of these cards are very thick. And sometimes, you know, things were stamped on it. So I kept it. Some thank you cards, and some other anniversary card. So, you know, things I want to keep. This makes it thick. Okay, there's lots of different ways. If you watch some of my other videos, sometimes I use the front of a card. Like this is just beautiful, and it's all crusty and glittery and beautiful. Sometimes what I will do is I will cut off the front of the card and use that in the album as a page. And sometimes, you know, cut off the back and put on the back side. You know, there's lots of different things that you can do. Here, I wasn't bothered that it was kind of thick. It didn't matter to me. This book wasn't super thick anyway, and so this added thickness of the cards just didn't bother me. So, you know, I got a lot of cards that year and a lot of things that were sent to me. Other years, I don't have as much. On the back is the 30th, and so kind of wanted to use up the space. I printed these out and then used a sticker sheet to kind of put little embellishments and this big puffy Santa with the 30th. Fill in the space, but also kind of break up the lines. And also just take a time to kind of stop and in the midst of all this chaos and sickness and disappointment, what are some things I'm thankful for? I love gratitude lists. You know, if you stop, you can always find something in every single day that you're thankful for. You know, it's just always there. And so putting that there. Unfortunately, you know, sometimes life is rough. And so the 31st, this was actually a calendar day. I covered it with some paper and the photos. And, you know, 3 photos from the day, and use a little circle stamp around the 31st because this was for December 31st. And I was sad this day. This was the day that I got early release from work, and so because of the long weekend. And so spent some time on my December daily. So there's my organizational stuff. And that was the day that Betty White had passed. And I love the Golden Girls. She had a huge impact on my life. And so it was a sad day, but she was an incredible woman, had an incredible life. You know, she was with her beloved Alan again. So sad, but also really, you know, joyous in the joy that she brought other people and the joyous life that she lived. And then that night, you know, Tom and I watched some wrestling, and I totally did not make it until midnight. I went to bed. I usually make it. I did not that year. You know, it is what it is. So that was the end of December, and then I go into January. So again, not a divider page in this album. January 1st, lots and lots and lots and lots of snow. We just got a dump. And so I saw this little Lucy meme, and I had to put it in my book. I was over snow, I was over winter, I was over cold, I was over everything. So this just cracked me up. It was a simple Saturday. That's all I put. I was just over PJs all day. I'm sick of snow. You know, we've all been there. Life is life. The second, I did another kind of weird elongated page here to make sure that I could get in the photo from our bedroom window. I almost wish the neighbor would chop down those trees, but I love trees, so I'm like, but we could see Pikes Peak from there, so there's all the snow, but hey, there's my mountain. And then the back, again, in December, I kind of do 2-page spread or a spread for each day. January kind of zips along, and so, here's some paper. I had a good sleep, and was talking with friends, and my leg was feeling better, and put definitely a better day. Watch some Mandalorian, because there's Grogu, the child, Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. And then the 4th, this is the 4th, and so Dorothy, my spirit animal, just feeling it, right? Trying my best to stay patient and calm. My reaction to literally everything right now. And then the 5th, I love lists. So what did I do that day? We were booking a trip to Disneyland and to Anaheim. We were seeing family. So just kind of worked through some of those things on the 5th. Here's Christmas. This is a clear sticker on top of the stroganoff that I made. This was the year that I actually forgot what day it was, and so I was going to make pierogies because that's the traditional dish I usually do. I was halfway done the stroganoff when I realized that it's Christmas Eve. I should be doing pierogies, and it also should be meatless for me. So, it is what it is. And a funny meme that I saw and just wanted to include, and I had this sticker that said, "Hey Santa." Just everything going on. It is what it is. The 7th, Dad actually took a photo of my babas, which is grandma in Ukrainian, and another meme, another long day. Added it to the bottom here. This was Ukrainian Christmas. So, again, the juxtaposition of things that are difficult and humorous, and then the Merry, Merry, Merry. My wry sense of humor sometimes cracks me up. And then usually I finish on the 7th, and sometimes I do a thing. To top all of this off, you guessed it, we got COVID. So I was supposed to go and see the Avalanche play my Maple Leafs. And we had been sick, right? And so we thought we just had bad colds. It just wouldn't go away. And we had bad coughs and blah, blah, blah. And went and got tested, and we had COVID. And, And we were already sick, but I went to one of my lunches that I documented on the 9th. So, you get a cold, you're kind of feeling sick, whatever. Someone there was really sick, and we're like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "No, I'm fine." And so I went to lunch on the 4th and was feeling rough. And then they sent out a message, "Oops, I tested positive for COVID." So I had to skip going to the game. Our neighbors across the way took our tickets, so they didn't go to waste. But I had to document one more day because I was so miserable and so mad. And I was just like, I've seen the cherry on the poop Sunday of December. And I had bought this little toque to wear to the game. And so, again, I'm like, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to wear the toque today anyway, as I was laying in bed. And then I kind of filled in this space of the blanket with some circles of the absolute misery I was in. That is funny now. It was not. We were so sick, and luckily it was work from home. I could still work, but Tom had hurt his back and could not walk, and so he wasn't going to go to the game anyway. I was going to go by myself, and then I tested positive, and I could have gone, I guess, but just made everybody sick, but I refused to do that. So I was sick from people at work. I gave it to Tom. He was sick, but he also couldn't walk. So I was working, and I had COVID, and I was looking after him, and it was a brutal, brutal, brutal month of January. So, again, good with the bad. And so, keep the stories. At the time, raging mad that I would miss it would have been my first in-person NHL game. I grew up in Canada, but in the middle of nowhere. you know, Toronto's way the heck and gone. Love to see the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was the year that the Avalanche actually ended up going and winning the Stanley Cup. So tickets were really reasonable at that point. Now they are not reasonable. They're like double, triple the price that I was going to pay that day. You know, sometimes the universe conspires against you, and this was definitely that time. So, but it is what it is. Document it, because there, you know, there were really a lot of good things in here, but there were a lot of difficult things too, or things looking back now that are quite funny that definitely we were not laughing at the time. Right. So, a difficult December definitely, you know, sums up this album. I have no regrets of it. I have no regrets of how I documented it. I have no regrets that, you know, I took the time, and even in some of the journaling that is very upset, you know, it is what it is. That was life at the time, and it's a snapshot of life. And you know, I can laugh about it now. And this album, like every year when I see it on the shelf and I get to it, I already start laughing, because I know how difficult life was then, and I know that there's a lot of funny things in there, because you know, Angry Tanya was very funny that year. So document it all. You'll enjoy it.